Commissioned during World War II on October 27, 1943, USS Johnston was a Fletcher-class destroyer. Named after Civil War First Master Lieutenant John V. Johnston, she was built at Seattle, Washington. On October 25, 1944, commanded by Lieutenant Commander Earnest E. Evans, Johnston was supporting the Leyte Campaign by providing support to the escort carrier task force. Coming under an overwhelming strong attack by a Japanese battleship and cruiser force during the Battle off Samar, she was lost during this action. With the other U.S. Navy ships, the destroyer's efforts were instrumental in saving most of the carriers and preventing the Japanese fleet from reaching the Leyte invasion area. USS Johnston, a Fletcher-class destroyer, fought one of the most heroic last stands in naval history during the Battle of Samar, a pivotal clash in the larger Battle of Leyte Gulf. Against impossible odds, the Johnston charged into battle against a vastly superior Japanese fleet to protect the outgunned U.S. escort carriers of Taffy 3. At 7 a.m., the Johnston and the small task unit Taffy 3, 6 escort carriers, 3 destroyers, 4 destroyer escorts, were suddenly confronted by the center force of the Imperial Japanese Navy, including 4 battleships, including the Yamato, 6 heavy cruisers, 11 destroyers. Facing near certain destruction, Commander Earnest E. Evans made a fateful decision: attack. At 7:20 a.m., Johnston closed to point-blank range and fired all 10 torpedoes at the heavy cruiser Kumano. 1 torpedo hit, blowing off Kumano's bow and forcing it out of formation. The destroyer then engaged multiple capital ships, including the Yamato, with its 5-inch guns, too small to penetrate armor but enough to distract and harass the enemy. Johnston laid thick smoke screens to obscure the retreating U.S. carriers. It zigzagged aggressively, dodging fire while drawing enemy attention away from the vulnerable escort carriers. By 9:30 a.m., Johnston was crippled but still fighting. All torpedoes expended, most guns disabled, and hull riddled with shell fire. Surrounded by 3 battleships, 4 cruisers, and multiple destroyers, it continued firing until ammunition ran out. At 10:10 a.m., after 3 hours of relentless combat, the Johnston rolled over and sank. Of its 327 crew, only 141 survived, many after days adrift in shark-infested waters. Commander Evans was lost at sea and posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor. Johnston's sacrifice helped save Taffy 3's carriers, forcing the Japanese to retreat. Johnston wreck was discovered in 2019 at 2,400 feet, 60 by 20 meters, the deepest warship wreck found at the time. After Johnston's initial torpedo attack, Japanese shells began strafing the destroyer. A near-miss explosion sent shrapnel into Evans' face and hands, tearing off 2 fingers and leaving him bloodied. He wrapped his hand in a handkerchief and kept commanding. Johnston arrives in Blitz with 2 camouflages. The Pacific Phantom Unique Camo boosts torpedo performance, while the historical version offers more balanced benefits with increased main battery range. Perfect for those who prefer gunnery. She comes with the familiar Fletcher-class staples, engine accelerator, and a smoke generator level 2. But here's where things get interesting. Sonar 1 and a devastating burst fire capability. When you combine these with SAP shells, you get a Fletcher that plays unlike any other. It's only the second U.S. destroyer, after the Tier 10 Edson, to feature SAP shells. Combine those with its burst fire, and you've got a ship that melts targets while paying homage to its historic firepower. Honestly, I loved playing it. For equipment setup, you won't need anything out of the ordinary. Standard configurations work perfectly fine. As for commander choices, William Sims is an excellent pick for Johnston. Remember, American destroyers without torpedo reloads benefit tremendously from Sims's skills. Since Johnston carries sonar, I recommend taking recon and surveillance at level 6. For levels 13 to 15, I personally favor the tactical shooter line. That extra range really unlocks Johnston's full potential. Readiness is relatively easy to acquire, making this a destroyer where you can actually benefit from those post-level 12 commander skills. I usually consider greased gears at level 13 on my destroyers, but for Johnston, and this time let's try something different. I preferred the range extension to show you. The Fletcher-class destroyer stands as one of the most iconic and successful destroyer classes in U.S. Navy history. These ships earned their legendary status through distinguished service in World War II, the Korean War, and even into the Vietnam War. In World of Warships Blitz, the Fletcher class is well represented across multiple tiers. At Tier 9, we have the Techline Fletcher, Black Fletcher, Halford, and Black, alongside the legendary USS Johnston, which has now joined the roster. Meanwhile, Tier 8 features the USS Kidd, also a Fletcher class. Given that the Fletcher class was the most produced destroyer in U.S. Navy history, its strong presence in Blitz makes perfect sense. A staggering 175 ships were built between 1942 and 1944, making it the largest destroyer class ever. Many of these vessels continued to serve well into the Cold War, cementing their legacy as true workhorses of the fleet. Among the Tier 9 Fletchers, the Black Fletcher is widely regarded as the top pick. Then there's the Halford, the only destroyer in the game with bomber squadrons, giving it a unique edge. The Black, it packs strong radar and smoke generators, but its torpedoes, painfully slow. Gun handling, typical Fletcher-class dispersion, but don't expect laser accuracy. It's not the best in its tier, but with some practice you can make those guns work. One of the biggest strengths of U.S. destroyers? Their insane acceleration. This makes dodging shells, torpedo salvos, and even carrier drops way easier. And the Johnston? It keeps that tradition alive, agile and responsive. But here's the kicker. Concealment. The Johnston and Tier 9 Fletchers actually out-stealth the Tier 10 Shimakaze. Yeah, you heard that right. With this low detection and its other tricks, I had zero issues holding my own in Tier 10 matches. Johnston performs well. I've included Samar so you can compare their concealment values. Johnston, as a Tier 9 destroyer, is uniquely capable of heavy lifting, thanks to its historical legacy. In other words, it's up-tire ready, suited for Tier 10 battles. For history enthusiasts, there are incredible books detailing the legendary heroism of the USS Johnston and Commander Evans. This destroyer's historical narrative has truly captivated me this time. See you next time and enjoy your matches.
A successful resolution of this confrontation appears imminent. Penetration of the target's armor has been confirmed. Engine boost activated. Projectile has effectively breached the armor. Penetration. We got them.
engine room to prepare for maximum acceleration. You're damned right. Sighted on the horizon. We've breached their defenses. We got them. Penetration. Confirmed penetration. Penetration. We've breached their defenses. Inform engine room to prepare for maximum acceleration.
strike has pierced the foe's armor! Weapon finds its mark! Penetration achieved! Achieved! The enemy's shield is shattered! Our weapon finds its mark! Our strike has pierced the foe's armor! The enemy's shield is shattered! Penetration achieved!